Mein persönlicher Highlight bei meinem Urlaub an der belgischen Küste war die Stadt Gent. Gent hat eine großartige Altstadt, Studentenflair, eine Burg mitten in der Stadt und natürlich gibt es hier auch das Gemälde, die Anbetung des Lamm Gottes, was wohl zu den 100 größten Kunstschätzen der Welt gehört. Was ich dir auf jeden Fall empfehlen kann, ist die Bootstour durch Gent. Von dieser Tour findest du ein paar Ausschnitte am Ende meines Videos. Und du solltest ausreichend Zeit mitbringen. Hier gibt es wirklich viel zu sehen. Und gut shoppen kannst du hier auch. Jetzt aber viel Spaß bei meinem Video aus Gent.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. We're going to make a trip for about 40 to 50 minutes around the historical city of Ghent. I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. So, I'm going to start off by saying that the river that runs through the city of Ghent is called the Lys. And once we pass the bridge in front of us to the left, we are going to enter the second biggest port of the mainland of Europe. Before Paris in France, this here used to be the biggest port of the mainland of Europe, 11th century Middle Ages. Now we're going to go into the port and we're going to see a lot of beautiful facades. Most of them are guild houses. What is a guild house? That is like some type of union. Every specific trade or job would have its own guild house in the big port. The Masons. We're going to stay on our left for a while and we're going to look at the gray facade in the middle there. That is the oldest facade of our city. Goes back to the year 1200 and used to function as a grain warehouse. Grain would come mostly from the north of France and would be stored here in the big warehouse. Now, the building behind the facade burned down in the year 1899. However, the facade itself is completely authentic. All the way on top you can see a big golden statue. That weighs 450 kilos, 7 meters 50 wide, and is entirely made out of copper. Now lots of people think it is either a rooster or a chicken, but it's not a rooster, it's not a chicken, it's a beautiful dragon. And we are very proud of our dragon, so don't call it a chicken, even though it does resemble a chicken. Now in the last tower that you see over there, the here on the corner to the left, you can see the opera house of our city. It is all obviously also renovated for the World Exposition. It is based upon one of the panels of the Adoration of the Lamb, but this time it is changed a little bit. If you take a close look, you can see the head of the priest is a baboon monkey, and the birds that are worshipping the monkey are called in Dutch the Fuut. Fuut birds, F-U-U-T, and that is the most common bird here on the local waters during this summer. It is made in 2021 and took about 6 months. 3 months for this one and 3 months for that one. Sometimes people ask me why are we not allowed to stand up in the tunnel. That is not because of the ceiling being too low. This is a very narrow point because there are two tunnels. At the end there's a water lock. This makes the water go downwards, making the undercurrent in the tunnel very strong. If you choose to stand up and you fall in the water and you so happen to fall just hard enough, that could potentially mean the longest vacation we'll ever have. Library, which is not accessible by the public because the books are too old and too fragile. Next to it, you have the St Michael's Church, which you can recognize at the beautiful golden ornaments on top as well. Now, the St Michael's Church is the biggest church of the city of Ghent, not to be confused with a cathedral or a belfry. This church was completely destroyed 2 times already, constructed the way you see now in the year 1909. Then in front of us, you can see the very beautiful St. Michael's Bridge. Originally, this bridge was built completely out of wood and it could open, so big ships could enter the second biggest port of the mainland. The second biggest port of the mainland of Europe. It is constructed the way you see now, also for the World Exposition of 1913. If you look on top of the bridge, you can see a statue. Now, that is the metaphorical Saint Michael. Who is Saint Michael? Saint Michael is the saint that protects all the guilds, all the different kinds of jobs that existed in the Middle Ages. Metaphorical, because if the building of the Martyrdom during most of the Middle Ages was a brothel, a house of pleasure, a red light district. Now, should you turn the golden swans around and face each other, what you get? You get a heart, and that is a sign of fidelity. Often used in marriages, of course, but also regular bars here in the port, so people could tell the difference. The beautiful yellow facade with the big golden ship on top is the guild house of the unfree boatsmen, also known as the guild house. Originally, this castle was built entirely out of wood in the 9th century, would only exist out of 1 tower. It is built the way we see now in the 12th century by the Count of Flanders when he returned from the Crusades. Now, for people who might not know, Flanders is the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. Today, should you want to go on the inside, you can enjoy a nice museum of torture. The audio guide is done by a local comedian. His name is Walter Depree, and is really original and also very funny. It is done in 6 different languages. It is an ear. Little more sad fact about the Middle Ages. In front of us, we are looking at the small black bridge, which we pass just straight into the water. But did you know, ladies and gentlemen, that in the Middle Ages, decapitation was actually considered to be a privilege? This was only given to those with lots of money, or those who had a pardon from a nice count here.
Ich hoffe, dir hat das Video gefallen und du schaust bald wieder bei Olafs World vorbei. Daumen hoch!